everyone, it is Angie here again for another edition of Afternoon STEM. And today I thought we would sort of continue on talking about fishes. So yesterday Lee read a couple of books, a couple of great books. One was Walter Under the Ice, about Walter the Walleye, and another one about Monica the Muskie. And these were really great books. I love the artwork in this muskie book. I think it's really pretty. Lots of dynamic lines and big sharp teeth for our beautiful muskie. So thinking about all those things, I started thinking about fishes. So first of all, a lot of times when we're talking about fish or fishes, sometimes when we talk about many fish, we will say there are 100 fish. Sometimes we will say there are 100 fishes. Now, if you use one or the other, people are going to know exactly what you're talking about. But in science, we love to be a little bit pedantic. We love it when our words are extra precise and they have a very specific meaning. So sometimes when we're talking about multitudes, we say fish. Sometimes we say fishes. And the reason that we use two different words is because we're talking about two different kinds of groups. So if I say that there are 100 fish in that tank over there, if I use the word fish, that means that all of those 100 fish are all the same kind. So we got 100 bass or we got 100 minnow. So we've got 100 fish over there. Now, if we have a mix of different kinds of fish, different species, that's when we use the word fishes. And so I have a couple of cute little books here. I love a good dichotomous key. And so a dichotomous key is a tool we can use in science to identify different species. So usually we use it for living things like plants and animals. But so in a moment I'm going to use this and we're going to try to identify one of these fish. I have a quick correction to make. Yesterday we were kind of going through all of our stuffed fish, and this fish here was called a sauger. Now a sauger is similar to a walleye, but this fish is actually a largemouth bass, not a sauger. So make a little correction on yesterday's video. This is not a sauger, this is a largemouth bass. All right, so fishes all have a lot of things in common. So here I have a little model of sort of a generic fish, but if we flip it over this way, we've got all of the internal parts. So we can pop this little head off. Now this part, the cover, the flap that covers the gill, which is the breathing apparatus of a fish. So this piece here, this here. This has a name. It is called the operculum. That's another really great science word. And an operculum is usually just something that like covers a hole. So fish have an operculum that covers their gill. Snails will sometimes have an operculum that covers the hole in their shell. So we've got operculum. We've got different kinds of fins. So this is a tail fin. And we've got our belly fins and our back fins. And so we can identify different species of fishes based on their physical characteristics. So based on their gills, based on their mouth style or shape, based on their tail shape, their fin shapes. So just for funsies, let's try. So even though we already know what this guy is, I'm going to use my handy dandy dichotomous key to identify this fish right here. All right. So the cool thing, so dichotomous, di meaning two, a dichotomous key works by asking you questions, and based on the answer of your question, it'll bring you to a different answer. So first one is we're going to look at the jaws of the fish, and our question is, jaws and paired fin are absent, yes or no? So here I can see I have some jaws and I can see I have pair fins. So they are not absent. If they were absent, if we didn't have jaws, if we didn't have...
It's a lamprey if it's not that.
Exactly. There's one species of Minnesota fish, so this is specifically Minnesota Midwest. There's only one species of fish that doesn't have a jaw, and that's a lamprey. Okay, so it's not a lamprey. So we go jaws and paired fin present. Go to number 2. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure, except it's really not very adventurous unless you're super, super nerdy. All right, so question 2 is my tail fin heterocircle or homocircle? Now that phrase, when we're talking about the hetero or homocircle, we're talking about the shape of the fin. So does it have this little swoop, or is it kind of like a big paddle, sort of like those older fish, those paddly fish? All right, so I'm going to say that yes, we got ourselves a heterocircle tail fin. So we're going to go to...
You want to turn the tail to camera a little bit?
Let me do this.
Maybe a little higher, look down on it.
All right, so when I'm talking about the heterocircle tail, we're talking about the tail with this. All right, so because of that answer, I'm going to go to the next step.
You can try and put it down.
The tail is forked and the mouth is ventral, or it is rounded and the mouth is terminal. So when we're talking about ventral or terminal, we're talking about, does it come at the edge or is it kind of on the bottom? So I'm going to call that 5. So now we want to know the jaws long, the dorsal fin short, or is this part short and the other fin long? All right. I don't know. I'm going to say that that's a relatively short, because for the long, we're talking like a gar or a northern. We're going to go all the way to page 68. All right. Let's go for it. Interesting. All right. I don't, okay, so
like, one of the questions I maybe have here is the hetero versus homocerical tail.
yes.
Was that a question of whether it's forked or not, or was that a question of if the two sides of it are the same length, actually? Like the sturgeon of the tail where the top is longer than the bottom is? Is that what that is actually asking?
Yeah. So hetero is if one side is lopsided.
Yeah, now it's asking if it has a forked tail versus like a paddle tail.
Right. And, okay. All right, so ventral is, sorry, this is really awkward.
Science terminology.
Yeah, and so sometimes they have these wonderful little diagrams, but they aren't giving me a diagram for the jaw. So I have to sort of use my best guess when they're saying dorsal and terminal, right? Like when I hear dorsal, that means up here, terminal means at the front, but they don't show me a wonderful picture like on the other ones. All right, let's start over. Jaws and fins present.
Yes.
Tail fin, heterocircle or homocircle? Well, I'm going to call that homocircle because it's the same size. Pelvic fins absent, body snake-like. Not the case. Pelvic fins present, and the body is not snake-like. So we're going to go to 7. Adipose fin present or not? So again, now I'm going to go my wonderful little pictures here, and it's going to show me where my adipose fin is. So the adipose fin is this guy right here, and that is very present and very obvious. Okay, so got that fin present. We go to number 8, and 8 is, do we have barbels, which are the little whiskers that catfish have? Barbels present, scales absent. Not the case here. We have barbels absent, scales present. So we're going to go to the next question, which is 9. Pelvic axillary processes present. So there's a fabulous little picture here. So we've got this guy, we've got this guy, and there should be a little doodad right there, which there is not. So we're gonna go to question 10. Dorsal fin, this guy, with 2 weak spines, scales feel rough when rubbed from rear forward. So this is a taxidermy, so it's been like shellacked. So I'm gonna have to just go with my dorsal fin. 2 weak spines or without spines. So we're gonna say that that is gonna be in the trout or perch family, page 181. See if that's, we'll see how close we got.
I think the route it was taking you down before was the like sturgeon, begar,
Right.
cattlefish route.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's either the hetero.
All right. So that gets us down to, and that just gets us to the family. So Percopsidae is a family. So that includes the trouts and the perches. All right. So that was very clumsy, but I think that the process is sort of apparent. Basically, you get 2 options, yes or no, present, absent, sort of things like that. And by following that trail, you can get, in this book's case, you can go all the way down to family. If you have a more precise book, you can get all the way down to species. When I was at Bemidji State University, one of my favorite things was keying out dragonflies. And so when you key out a dragonfly, there's a mouth part on the bottom that sort of comes out. It looks like a big spoon, sort of a grabber. And a lot of them, what you do is you key them all the way down to the family and genus, and then you pull that mouth part out and you literally just count how many hairs or what position those hairs grow in, and you can decide their species. All right, so if there's no other questions or anything like that, remember we are open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 5, Sundays 1 to 5. We have dinosaur painting coming up in about a week and a half. You can go to our website, check out our Facebook page and all that stuff for signups. Otherwise, that is all I have. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon.